quite a few references to that in Bukhari and Muslim. What would you say to a young Muslim artist who has intention of taking his talent further?
First of all, let's clearly understand the message delivered by those ahadith we speak of the works of art as would appear in the hereafter as a source of punishment for the people who produce those works of art. Now, this presentation of the hadith is not correct. There is no question of art involved at all in those total, complete condemnation of those image makings. The fact is that at the time of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, such art as we know today did not exist. What existed was the image making of false gods. And it was not just pictures as painted on canvases. It was like figurines, small figurines, and carving of statues and so on and so forth. And also similar paintings or painting-like things on sheets and curtains, etc., whereby imaginary gods were depicted to have command over things in figurative terms, and all such things, without exception, related to gods which were pieces of their own imagination, which had nothing to do with reality. What Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam condemned was this idolatry. What he condemned was calling partners by the side of Allah. And these images it will be which would roundly condemn their creators and would be a source of punishment of fire for them in the hereafter. That is what I understand from all such ahadith which you have referred to in general. If anyone has a different story to tell, let him. But I have never come across anything speaking of art as such which has no relationship with idolatry, and has Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam declaring that such a person would go to hell. Now, these extremists who do not follow these things in depth, they have even gone to the extreme of declaring photography to be totally haram in Islam. And as such, they say whoever appears on before a camera and whose pictures are published in papers, etc., etc., such people would go to hell because of those ahadiths. And among them are some mullahs of Pakistan who were the most vehement opponents of Ahmadiyyat, while others of their kind and ilk continue to have their photos published daily, almost daily in Jang and other papers, and one feels nauseated seeing those pictures all jammed together, in one file, almost daily. And each one of them thinks that it is our photo with that robe and things on, which everybody would be focusing on, while the young people have played a clever trick on them. They jam-pack them so nobody cares, they just have a glance and nobody knows who is standing where. But their name is written underneath. Who takes the care of daily reading the names and finding out, now this mullah is by that name and he is great. But this is what they do, this is what is intended, which is so obvious from their poses and styles and those pictures published. While their own brothers of their type, belonging to the same Khatmi Nabuwwat group, etc., they keep hiding. When a cameraman comes, they put the sheet on, like this. No such thing. This is what is happening to Islam, unfortunately, in the hands of ignorant people. Islam is being tarnished. being presented in such ugly manner that the whole world simply cannot see eye to eye with Islamic values. Right?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And your wife is also from Mauritius, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Well, we're actually born here, but our parents are from Mauritius.
Right.
I have a question. In a society where both the men and women, or husband and wife, work, what is the purpose of a dowry in situations like that?
Dowry has nothing to do with such accidents. These are accidents in the sense that they have not been consistent throughout the human history in every part alike. In some countries which are poverty-stricken, it's a logical conclusion that both husband and wife should work as well as children. And in Arab society also we find such examples where all work in the tribal system, men worked, women worked, and also the children as far as possible. So, yet the dowry remained an independent instruction and obligation on men. Now, it is also important because when the woman works, it should be remembered that man has no right on the woman's earning. Basically, it is man who is made qawwam over women. And the explanation given along with it, or an additional definition given is that because he spends his money for the maintenance of the family. So as such, women in fact are not obliged to work. If they do, it is an additional something to which they have their own right. If the husband wants the wife to remain dedicated to other important issues of life which are more especially related to women, and because he thinks that by her working she is negligent to those duties which he cannot perform, which she is made to perform, then he can tell her, don't go to work. I don't want your money. Anyway, your money is immaterial. You may spend it on the family, you may not. It's your choice. I'm responsible. I'm providing you as best as I can. So you remain in the family, in the house, build it up, make it a most perfect heaven on earth. Look after take care of the children, take care of their education, and help them in all sorts, in every area of human activity, to become best human beings for the next generation of the world. If he says that, this is exactly according to the Quran. So it is not a confinement for the ladies, not at all. It is that the areas of tasks have been defined and separated, and each of the two sexes has been allocated the task which is most suitable to his own constitution or her own constitution. Women bear children, they have their special constitution. Women are made to attract men, so despite the fact that chromosomes are stronger in women, they are more delicate. And everything in that regard is provided to women, and this is why Islam says that they are the source of peace of your hearts, and you turn to them. And then they are presented in the Holy Quran as from under whose feet offsprings can get heaven, can reach paradise, which means she is provided a very important motherly role, such role that if she performs it perfectly according to the wishes, according to the dictates of Allah, then she can guarantee that her children, inshallah, God willing, would go to heaven. This is the meaning of that hadith. So if both partners work and they run their own separate life, and the children are left to either babysitters or to nothing, and they are left to shift along as they please, then nothing can be said with any assurance of the health of the future generation, of the goodness of the future generation. Then what happens is, you have already witnessed in such societies. Yet, as I said earlier, if the economic standard of a people is so low that it becomes impossible for men to sustain the family, then women are never barred from working in Islam. And they have been working during the time of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and they are working more so in the third world countries where necessity drives them to do so. Incidentally, the image created against Islam that Muslims are confined to homes and they are made idle, as like the society or economic society is required to run only on one wheel, the second wheel is jammed. This is not true. And even in Parda observing society, women work. They take so much care of things daily that many a time the earning husband has less hours of work to his credit than his own wife, who day and night like a machine works and also bears children and takes care of everything and cooks food under conditions where it's really very demanding to be able to maintain the pressure of all these works. So yet the society says they're not working. It's very stupid. How much more could you expect of a woman than the poor women who work in the third world countries, particularly among the Muslims? Right?
It's only 3 months since I'm here. I don't know about the Jamaat much. I've not joined it, but now could you tell me the need of accepting Ahmad?
Now, your brother Shaukat is your uncle?
Yes.
And didn't he tell you much about it?
No, he didn't. He has not got
But I'm surprised because he is the one who has been instrumental in bringing many of his brothers to Jamaat and softly led them on with his character, with his style, and also with the explanations here and there. Only that much he told them which they could take in one sitting, and left them alone when he found signs of boredom He didn't do that to you? Oh, poor you, Doesn't he love his sisters as much as he loves his brothers? It seems, You tell me, bring him to books, Now, what would you like to ask, particularly about Ahmadiyyat?
I'd like to know the need of accepting it.
Need?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that a reformer in Islam, under any title, reform, was promised by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam or not?
I do.
You do? Tell me, what are you expecting? Who would come and in what form and what style?
I know so little about it, but I only know that the Prophet will come again.
You know that?
Yeah.
And will he be a prophet?
I hope. Yeah, I do.
You hope so?
Yeah.
But if you tell other mullahs of your type, of your sect,
Yeah.
they would throw you out of Islam. You speak of a prophet coming as a reformer? They say we expel you from Islam. You can't, but this is what they say. And you don't know your own faith, that is to say, what it should be. Is it right now?
Yeah.
What you have told me, the little what you have told me is indicative of your own lack of knowledge about your own views and doctrines, which should have been your official views and doctrines. But of those you are not aware.
No, I'm not.
Right? Okay. So we'll have to begin with that.
Okay.
You believe, now I'm telling you, but this is true. you believe that Jesus is not dead. You believe that instead of Jesus being crucified, it was someone else, a Jew, one of his strongest enemies, who had given the likeness of Jesus by angels, and who was so perfectly transformed into a Jesus-like thing that when he was put to cross, everybody believed they had put Jesus to cross. But what happened to Jesus? He did not even escape the enemy's clutches, but was taken to heaven, was removed to further safety, so that he was lifted up and up and up and up until the three heavens passed and the fourth reached. And there the angels deposited him on some planet and left him there for good, until the time when God would so decide to send him back again. Then perhaps the same angels or some others, I don't know, but certainly two angels would appear to him after a break of 1400 years already. And if he doesn't descend today or tomorrow, then you have to wait further, maybe a year or maybe a century, when suddenly poor Jesus, serving that lonely imprisonment in a deserted say planet or star, would see two angels descending again. He would have asked them in surprise, or he should, God, you left me for 2000 years and thought of me again after that long? They would say, what could we do? God didn't tell us to come. When he sent us first time, you remember, we saved you from the clutches of the Jews and the Roman Empire and saved you from ignoble death hanging upon cross. So you should be grateful to us. When he told us to deposit you here, we did. So what is the big objection? Then he would say, all right, now what is the purpose of this visit? You want me further lift somewhere else? He said, no, God has now told us to safely bring you back to earth and put your hands on our shoulders. We'll fly softly down to earth. But there we will deposit you on a minaret, not on the ordinary soil surface of the earth, but we'll deposit you on a minaret. But mind you, it has no ladders, no staircase. So you have to wait there for your second descent from the minaret to the earth, down to earth, for the Mullahs to come with you with the ladders on their shoulders, and they will bring their ladders along and they will put it upon the minaret, that staircase test minaret, and then you will descend, and that would be the second phase of your life on earth. You believe, what you should officially believe, that from then on Islam will enter a new phase of glory, and it will emerge victorious over all other religions when this happens, not before. But other things would happen before, and you believe that they have not yet happened, they are yet to happen. So what are they? They are, before Jesus would be brought back to earth again, a huge giant would emerge from somewhere, who is so far kept chained in some cave somewhere. Then he would be suddenly released, or maybe he breaks his chains and comes out, wild with anger and captivity for that long. So there are two captives you are waiting for. When Jesus kept in captivity upstairs somewhere, and one, the Dajjal, kept in captivity down somewhere in a cave. So their release will be an orderly release. First of all, the Dajjal will be released. And that Dajjal is a one-eyed monster. So big, so tall, that as he rides his donkey, his head will be above the cloud line. And people will not be able to see him from below up. Small head would be jutting out so far high, and he would begin to conquer the whole world alone, single-handed, riding his donkey. So the donkey has to be as big as the Dajjal is, because otherwise he will not be able to carry his weight. So you believe, again, forgive me saying that, but this is what you should believe, if you are not an Ahmadi. You believe that that donkey also is a very special donkey. It's a fire-eating donkey. It doesn't eat fodder. It eats coals or whatever it is, but it is burning fire which he eats, blazing fire which he eats, and is driven with that firepower. And he would, when the Dajjal appears, donkey would also emerge from somewhere and offer his back to the Dajjal. So the Dajjal will from then on start riding, in his expedition to conquer the whole world. And no one will have power to defend himself against this Dajjal. The donkey would be so fast that a journey of months would be covered by him in hours. Such a fast donkey it would be. And when it comes to the oceans, suddenly that donkey would be transformed into something whereby it would be able to swim the oceans across without sinking, carrying such loads as mountains of food supplies. Imagine. The Dajjal would have to shift quite in front. If you ask somebody to sit behind you, you have to make some room for him. You slightly move ahead and leave some room on the side for the child behind. But this Dajjal will have to move quite forward. I think he will have to move so much forward as to sit on his head, because the whole back, however big it is, will be able to have mountain loads of food, which it would freight across oceans to certain other nations who would worship Dajjal, who would have bowed to the supremacy of Dajjal. Now, when it comes to the air, because the Dajjal has to do a lot of work, he has to conquer the whole world, subjugate it completely, bring it under his supreme control. How could that poor donkey alone be sufficient, which can only run on the land and swim on the seas? But no, you believe, you have an answer to that. You say that donkey would also be able to fly. It would fly so far, so fast, and cover such big distances that as if his one foot is in the east and the second where he lands is in the west. But it will not be the Dajjal only which the donkey would carry. Not only the freight load of this food supplies, etc., but he would also accommodate ordinary passengers who would not be Dajjal. They were day-to-day travelers, commuters and things, those who journey across oceans, those who want to fly across to other countries. Dajjal would offer them an accommodation not on his back, not on top of him, because that is Dajjal. He is the master and controller. He would offer them the seats, comfortable seats within the belly, where he is eating fire. but no fire will burn the passengers at all. They will be comfortably seated, the inside will be lighted, and there will be windows opening from the sides. So they will enter, and that donkey would be so well disciplined that before taking the journey for the next stop, he would declare, "I'm about to leave. Whoever wants to come, get in. Time has come when I'm going to leave for the next stop." Everybody would rush and sit down, and then he would begin to either move on earth or in the ocean or begin to fly. And we believe that that donkey is not yet born because we haven't seen such a donkey. So how could Jesus come? The donkey is not born. How could the Jal have conquered the whole world? Because without the back of this donkey available to him, he would not be able to travel at all. So the whole redesigning of the world, which is related to Islam's final conquest of the world, has not yet even initially started. That the Dajjal, according to your belief, is still a captive in some cave, that one-eyed monster has not been able to break loose of his chains. Jesus is still kept in solitary confinement somewhere up in the heaven. So without their appearing, how can we expect a reformation of Islam or anybody to have come to reform Islam at all in any form? Correct? This is your belief. Do you believe it?
No,
No.
not really.
This is what I mean. This is your belief and you don't believe.
I didn't know I was supposed
but
to
I'm
believe
telling you,
that.
you should believe the way we look at things. It becomes so believable. All the fantasy is gone, but yet it appears to be the most fantastic prophecy which has been realized. What the Holy Prophet ﷺ was predicting was the invention of new modes of travel, which will all of them, without exception, have this common point of being driven with firepower. People will sit in those machines and will not be burnt out, because the fire department or compartment will be separate, and they will travel by this donkey through railways, through motor cars, vast distances which normally are covered in 1 month will be covered in a matter of an hour or so. And then, despite the fact that the master is the Dajjal, they will have nothing to do with the Dajjal himself directly, They will only use that as a mode of travel, the donkey, and then leave as their station comes. And then this donkey would work as a ship. No better description of ship can be portrayed than we find in the words of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It would be a huge donkey, fire-driven, which would not sink. It should have normally sunk if it had been an ordinary donkey. It would carry huge weights of food supplies to such nations from the Dajjal as accept him and accept his supremacy. Hasn't it happened already? If you interpret the donkey to be the modern modes of travel and transport, everything becomes visible and you can see it happening before your eyes. So those ships have been invented, those aeroplanes have been invented, which were all predicted by Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam like no prophet before him had ever predicted. Things that far away with such precision. Everything about the modern modes of transport has been described, everything. And where is the master of the donkey? Has he not appeared? Why not? Of course you could not recognize, or at least those could not recognize that monster who have no eyes to see him with. The monster at least has the advantage of having one eye, that is left eye. But those who do not recognize him and do not see him, it seems have no eyes at all. He has already appeared. All these modern modes of travel and transport have been invented by the Christian Western nations. The entire supremacy over the world, which they have gained, is through this mode of travel. The faster they move, the greater the power is their power to conquer other countries and to keep them under their command. So the secret of this, their power is in this donkey. And even those rockets which fly with fire, they establish their superiority and supremacy over the rest of the world. Modern warfare is fought on the basis of the fastest moving modes of travel and transport, etc. So why not this being the Jal? He answers to the description metaphorically so perfectly that it is no longer he. When you recognize him, it becomes them. That he suddenly is pluralized. Then we realize that it was just symbolic he. It was not to be one man, because what we have seen already having been translated into reality is the fact that the donkey was not just a single donkey. It was a type which was described. And the modes of travels are hundreds of thousands, even millions and beyond millions. Even cars, you can count, if you start counting them, in America, they would amount to maybe close to 1 billion, or if not 1 billion, at least a few thousand millions, a few hundred millions. Count them in Europe, in the third world countries to which they export. So one donkey becomes billions, and aeroplanes and ships and motorboats, count them all. So why should the Jal remain only one rider? He is also symbolic. The one who has invented them, the one who has subjugated these new modes of travel completely to his supremacy and ascendancy and command, the one who has conquered the world with the help of these things, has to be the Jal. So what about his one eye being blind and one eye being very sharp? The eye which is described by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be blind is the right eye. The eye which is exceptionally sharp and so acute in its sight that it can see things underneath the earth. That the Jal is described to possess the quality of seeing buried treasures underneath the earth. Yet one eye is completely blind. The right indicates religion, godliness, virtue, and the left indicates evil, ungodliness, and materialism. So in relation to these qualities on the right, he is blind, or they are blind, if you permit me to pluralize the word one, because I know now, you know as well, that it's just symbolic. It's, what is mentioned is a people. So their religion is blind, they believe it's ordinary man to be literal son of God, and they fail to see the truth of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah, while his truth should be the most apparent to anyone who could see, right or wrong. So anybody who doesn't see, doesn't recognize the truth, has to be considered a blind man, but not totally blind in the worldly wide things, in the pursuit of materialism. His eye would be much sharper and would have a far clearer sight than others in the world. So when they discover the oil underneath the Arabian soil or elsewhere, when they discovered the hidden treasures of precious metals and like gems and stones, etc. This is what the Holy Prophet meant. That thing would be able to see beneath the surface of earth. This is our interpretation, another interpretation. This is the interpretation of the Dajjal presented by Hazrat Masih Maud Islam, who according to the other mullahs is the biggest impostor of this time. They say he was never sent by God, he was never guided by God, he was never illuminated in any way. He is the darkest image to appear, even they say he is Dajjal. And this is what you agree with, is his interpretation. The one you rejected was the interpretation of the mullahs, to whom officially you belong. So it's up to you now to decide which way to choose. See? So Messiah will also be symbolic. When the Dajjal is symbolic, when his donkey is symbolic, then the Messiah to come is also symbolic. He would take up the fight for Islam spiritually, with logic, with arguments. And he is depicted, again, let's turn to your belief, your official belief, I mean. Your official belief is that, all right, let's say the Dajjal has come, okay. Let's wait for Jesus Christ to come. He would personally descend, a man of 2,000 some years, putting his hands on the shoulders of two angels. And they would come down, but they would not touch the earth. They would deposit him on a blind minaret, where there would be no staircases, no ladders attached. So he was poor man, when he comes here that old, he had jumped from the heaven but can't jump from the minaret. This is the problem. So mullahs say, oh look here, Jesus has come. They would immediately recognize him. They will rush towards that minaret, which they don't know where it is in fact. So any old man climbing from a minaret where there is no ladder could be taken as Jesus may be. So anyway, you believe that this is how he would come. So the mullahs would welcome him, they would cook halwas and things for him, or puri, dal puri if he lands in Mauritius, halwa puri if he lands in Pakistan, that sort of thing. And after that, they would say, now, O Prophet of God, you have come at last to save us. Just bid us to do something and we are at your command. He said, no, I have to perform other things. Wait. He said, what do you mean? We have descended after 2,000 and we are on the verge of a precipice of destruction, and you say, no, you have nothing to do with us as yet? What do you mean? He said, look here, I have other more important tasks to perform. First of all, I have to break the cross. And as such, I must travel the entire world, each village, wherever there are Christians, I must visit. Each home where a cross is kept. Each monastery, each church, anything, everywhere where a cross is found, he said, I must go and break it literally like this. So maybe takes a mace or something heavy with him and begins to strike at the bigger crosses and breaks with hands the smaller crosses and so on and so forth. How many crosses there will be, you think, in the world? Billions, without doubt. And everywhere in the world, because Christianity has spread all over the globe. So he would go, even if he would visit Mecca and Medina and other places, but only visit Christians' houses and will have nothing to do with the Saudi family and others, He said, next time maybe, but for the time being I have come only to visit the Christians' houses. So there he'll go there and break the cross and take his way. It will be a very long journey, of course. It will take a very, very long time to visit every Christian house and break every cross. When he returns, maybe after a century or so, the previous mullah would have died already, waiting for him, poor things. New mullahs would welcome him, say, Alhamdulillah, please have some halwa puri or dal puri and this and that. He said, no, enough of it, I have taken, I've tasted food from all over the world, but I just want to take your leave for another journey. So what do you mean by another journey? Already you have wasted a century of the Muslims. Poor things. And now you say you're going. I'm not going to work according to your command. I'll take my command from God. And He has commanded me now to take another hazardous journey throughout the globe to kill all swines wherever they're found. So he would take a spear or something, some daggers, or if he has no objection against using shotguns, maybe he takes some. So he travels all the banks of the rivers, where by the side of the river banks there is bush, and there are always found, almost always, the swines and pigs, wild boars and things, and he will start killing them. Imagine what a beautiful sight it would be. For the first time in the entire history of religion, a prophet begins to perform the role of a boar killer, a hunter of the boars, single-handed. So it would take him quite a long time to finish all the boars of Pakistan. There are quite a few. And also the boars in India, and then Africa, then China, Japan, other Asian countries. He will have to visit all islands of the Pacific, South Pacific, because in Tuvalu and other small islands, they are very fond of raising pigs and eating their flesh. So he will ultimately reach Europe and then maybe America, Canada, South America, and he will also visit their farms, their cattle farms, their pig farms. He will visit every pig farm and destroy every pig and see to it that the seed of the pig is finished completely. Maybe it takes another 100 years or more, because pigs are very fast breeders, unfortunately, for Jesus Christ. As he finishes pigs' hair, other pigs would begin to replicate with a vengeance everywhere else. Like cancer cells, they replicate very fast. So he has finished pigs under, and he finds other areas abounding in pigs. And then pigs will be transported from there back to where he had left, and he will have to pay a second visit all over. So maybe it takes 100 or 200 more years. And by that time, the world would have been completely changed around, and the Dajjal would have continued to rule the whole world. And the Muslims would still be waiting, new halwa puri, new dal puri, that again, story is repeated, unfortunately. So then they will say, Alhamdulillah, at last you have... No. Again, sadly mistaken. I have yet to perform another task. I have to kill Dajjal, who has already destroyed the whole world, who is still your master. So let me flee with my sword. Not only have I killed to Dajjal, but also I have to kill all those who do not believe in Islam, who refuse to accept Islam. This is my last assignment on earth. Before I turn to you and try to take care of your moral ills and things. So he would go, and then God would give him a breath like a python. It will not only the sword, which will behead the enemies of Islam and religion, but he will breathe fire wherever he looks. And from miles upon miles across, wherever that breath reaches, it will scorch the things, destroy life altogether. But that breath would be very selective and choosy breath. The believers will be saved from its fire power or destructive power. Only the enemies and non-believers will be killed. So it will be a long journey all over the world, whereby he will completely kill his own enemies who reject him and the enemies of Islam and others. Now, at the end he would repent having done it, and he would have rethinking. Because he would say, now how can I say I have come according to the Quran to serve the Quran? He would say the problem is that the Holy Quran says, I am Rasulun ila Bani Israel. I am a prophet only of the Israelites. And of all such Israelites who are not Muslims, I have already destroyed them. I have taken care of them, I have destroyed them completely. So I am a prophet without anyone to address. And about my being a prophet in Islam, there is no mention anywhere. No verse left in the Quran which says, Masih we sent as a prophet and a messenger for the entire world. The Masih we sent as a messenger and a prophet for the world of Islam. He would search the Quran for him and he said, oh God, what have I done? The only people in relation to whom my prophecy had any validity, I have destroyed with my own breath and with my own soul. What is left has nothing to do with me. Then he would say, another problem, the Holy Quran says that till the end of the world, till the doomsday, God would give him supremacy, or his believers, his followers supremacy over the non-believers. So you say, I have already destroyed non-believers, and the doomsday is not yet come. So having committed these blunders, it's better for the doomsday to come, to finish with the whole affair. So while the Muslims will be still waiting for him to start his work of reformation among them, he would be praying somewhere in the cave, oh God, what I have done. You have not given me any authority in the Holy Quran over the Muslims. And those who would read it, they would object against, how can I show my face to them? The people over which you gave me authority, I finished my own hands. So tragic. And those over whom I was to be given supremacy, and my followers, they are finished, they are no more. And that should have happened so until the time of doom, until the doomsday. So there is no justification for keeping the whole world as such, while the sign of the doomsday has appeared already. They are finished. So he would be praying for the doomsday, and then suddenly people will see the whole world, being moved with wave after wave of earthquakes and things happening. The mountains will fly across, and the earth will change its direction. The sun, instead of appearing from the east, would appear from the west. It will be a volte-face motion of the earth. Instead of moving from the west to the east, suddenly it will turn and move from east to the west. You know at what speed? 25,000 miles per day. This is the speed of the earth around itself, around its own orbit. In its own orbit, around its own central, what do we call? Axis, that's right. Along its own axis. So when you turn it so fast that it begins to move in the opposite direction at the same speed, the speed difference will be 2,000 miles per hour. whoever will be on earth will be jetted out, like a rocket from the earth. Nothing will be left even to watch the miracle of the sun rising from the west. Now, this is what you believe. I'm sorry. Forgive me for saying, but this is what is your official belief is. What we believe is simply this, that these people who have no eyes, they are completely blind to the great prophecies of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Jesus never died upon cross, but was saved from cross, not lifted away. He was not murdered because the attempt of murder failed to achieve its purpose. So he was removed from there, then he migrated to Kashmir, lived his life in pursuit of the Israelites to whom he was sent. Instead of remaining within the two tribes of Israel which were left in Judea when he appeared, Palestine all around, in fact, Judea is the kingdom of the north, but altogether also it is referred as Judea. So instead of remaining confined to the two tribes in the southern, or is it northern Judea, Palestine, etc., he would pursue the course of migration of the earlier 10 tribes of the Jews to wherever they went and deliver his message. Then his ministry will be complete because he was sent not to only to two tribes but to the entire 12 tribes of Israel. So according to another interpretation, this is what was to happen to Jesus Christ. He never ascended to heaven. He remained here, he died here. So the one to come was to be born. He was as much a metaphor as the jal and donkey have been proved to be metaphorical. So he will start a new phase of reformation in Islam. Within Islam, having been born in Islam, in representation of Jesus Christ. And he will be a perfect slave and subordinate to the Quran, to the Holy Master, Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this new reformation movement would begin to ultimately fulfill the purpose mentioned in the Holy Quran, لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ هُوَ الَّذِي أَرْسَلَ رَسُولَهُ بِالْهُدَى وَدِينِ الْحَقِّ لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ. He, it is Allah, who sent his messenger, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, to ultimately make him emerge conqueror of the whole world of faiths. Deen kullahi. The entire world of faiths will be conquered by this prophet. So to start this second phase of the world conquest of religions, this is the purpose for which Jesus would come, not personally, but as a metaphorical representation, as a image or in character of Jesus Christ. This is what we believe. So it's entirely up to you to choose either to stick to your parental beliefs or to this new belief, which is a far better and far more realistic and wise understanding of the prophecies of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Got it? Now, are you left with some time or no?
5 minutes.
Huh?
5 minutes.
How do you know?
बताया सही सब.
Achha, okay. So, in the last 5 minutes we can turn to you for your question.
One question.
Yes.
Now, Allah raised Hazrat Isa up unto himself alive.
Where are you reading from? Where are you reading from?
This is not mentioned in the Quran. This is Surah Al-Nisa, I think. Surah Al-Nisa.
Is it Surah
158.
Is Surah Al-Nisa not in the Quran?
It is.
You say it is not mentioned in the
No,
Quran.
but being raised alive to himself and to himself.
To himself, yes. Alive, no.
Yeah, but alive not mentioned in
Ah.
the Quran. Yeah.
The Holy Quran says, بَلْ رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ. But Allah raised him to himself. Remain stuck to whatever the Quran says. Don't add words to the Quran, right?
Yes.
But let's understand what is the raising of somebody towards Allah. What is the word used? It is Rafa. Rafa, when it is related to God and man, meaning God made the Rafa of a man, always means spiritual Rafa, spiritual elevation, not physical. And it cannot be physical anyway. It's impossible. Because when you lift something from somewhere, like this file, it is over there. I can lift it, can I? Can't I? To myself.
Yes.
Because it is away from me, I'm not there. So I can lift it to myself. I can put it close to my breast. Can I lift it to myself from here? Can I? It's already there.
It's already there.
How can it move? Because it's already touching me, strongly embracing me. How can I lift this file to myself? Already I've done it, but only when I was not there. But when it is already here, I can't lift it to myself. So, how could Jesus rise physically when it is said that Allah raised him to himself? It could have only happened physically if where Jesus was at that moment, God was not there. If God was there and Jesus moved, then he was moving away from God, not towards him. But the Holy Quran says, Rafa'allahu ilayhi. Now you are sitting over there. Is there not God there where you are? God is everywhere. So if you say, I am moving from here towards God and leave this place, this can only be meant in two ways. It could be taken to mean in two ways. Number one, God was not there. And you are right in saying that I am moving towards God because there was no God here. God was there on that chair, you know. So he moved from one chair to the other chair where God was, left the chair where God was not. Either this, or second, that you are deceiving us. You are not moving towards God, you are moving away from God. Because where you were sitting, God was already there. So when you said, I am moving away to God, you were wrong. You were deserting God. So which physical meaning would you apply to this verse in relation to Jesus? When he moved, if he moved, from the place where he was, after this verse became operative, Rafa'ullah ilayh. How could he make a physical movement anyway? In which direction? And then other problems. The Holy Quran says, فَأَيْنَمَا تَوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. In whichever direction you look, God is everywhere. So which direction he might have chosen? Which way? It's all around you, it surrounds you, it's in you, closer than your life artery or jugular vein. How can you move from one place in the direction of God? Only spiritually. Yes. People in the presence of God are removed from God. Not physically, mentally, in heart, in attitudes, in the way of life. So when somebody is made Rafa, it means he is further purified, he is brought closer to God as an expression of endearment. So that is what is said there. Right?
Yeah.
But you came late.
Yeah, no.
Because of yours, I
because
understand.
of the fog all the way.
Yes, I
from-
understand.
Yeah.
But it's not the purpose of the question. The purpose of the question is not to demand why you are late. What I meant to tell you
Yeah.
is that before you, all the speakers introduced themselves, or somebody else did on
Yeah.
their behalf. So you would, before we finish this program, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Sharif Banu.
Sharif Banu.
Yeah.
And you are son of
Son of Ibrahim Ostar Banu.
Ibrahim Banu.
Yeah.
He is in Mauritius.
Yeah, in Mauritius, he passed away.
Did he pass away?
Yeah,
When?
about 10 years ago.
10 years ago, I see. Do you belong to the same Banu family as that of
Hidayat.
Hadayat, etc.? Right.
Yeah, well, first cousin.
I see. And is this lady related to you? Sitting next to you?
This one is
She is.
this one is my daughter,
Your daughter?
Layla.
Acha, right. So that's all I wanted, you know.
Yeah.
And that's all the time we were left with. Right?
No.
You say Assalamu alaikum to all the Mauritians. Allah bless you all. And Mauritius is a country of, a special country to me. I love Mauritius for many reasons. And one of them is not related to Ahmadiyyat at all. It is related to the general Mauritian character. I found them very unique in many things. They're a wonderful community who can live despite differences in an harmonized, unified community. Sikhs, Hindus, Christians, Muslims, Ahmadis, none of these don't tolerate us.
That's right.
These are a different type of Mauritians, most of them I mean. But there of course there are excellent people among them who still befriend Ahmadis, but when they do not, it's against the Mauritius grain that they work. Mauritians are large-hearted, broad-minded people, and they're all bestowed with a fine sense of humor as well. And as much as I know, they're generous people. Very few Mauritians would there be who are really miserly, and at least I don't know any of them. I have met them anywhere and seen them relating with each other and socializing with each other. They are generous people, they're hospitable, generous people, and live smilingly and happily, and also hardworking. They have been specially gifted with the art of trade and international trade and things. And you're fortunate to have a Prime Minister who is really dedicated to the cause of Mauritius. Despite the fact that he is Hindu, he has never ill-treated Muslims out of the religious prejudices. This is the whole story, not the whole story, but some of the story, why I love Mauritius so much. Okay?
Thanks very much for your comments.
My love and regards from my behalf and from your behalf to the people in Mauritius who are watching this. Right?
Thank you.
Thank you so
Assalamu
much.
alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Welcome, sir.